think we can go ahead and start. So let me just grab the schedule down, what we're gonna do first. Okay, so toss setup. A lot of you use toss. Anyone not use toss? Well, if you're using Robinhood or such for trading, if you're using Robinhood or such for trading, if you're using Robinhood or such for trading, if you're using Robinhood. Well, I'm hearing myself. I don't know why. Okay, so if you're using any of those platforms that don't give you the ability to trade quicker, right? I think it's a good idea to look whether it's Toss or some other platform that you can trade, right? I strongly suggest Toss just because I'm familiar with it. So if you ever need help, I can help you. But if you have other resources where you can trade options, then do what's best for you. But I think Thinkorswim is pretty efficient when we do kind of want to trade fast and quick. So if you're under charts, right, and you go to flexible grid here, this is where you can set up multiple charts and design it any way you want. Okay, I'm just going to take out this volume average for a moment. So you usually start off with one. So if you're going to follow along, open your toss, go to charts, and then click on the flexible grid. Charts is your basic, right, levels here. I'm not going to cover the chart section here. I'm going to cover the flexible grid because you can modify it. You can also modify this one here, but it's mainly within the boxes. Flexible grid gives you a little bit more options to move around. Okay, you can use both for charting. I use charts and flexible grid. You can also detach them, meaning I can take everything I create here, I can drag it on another screen or two screens and still have toss available. But that's not the purpose of this session. I mean, it's fairly easy to figure that out. So once you're on this screen, and let's say I want to set up 3 screens just because this is my 32-inch monitor. If I have a bigger monitor, like 49-inch, then I would slice this many different ways. Okay. So depending on real estate that you have, you will play with this because you still want to be able to see a little bit of picture to the left when whatever time frame you're on. If I'm using 5 days, 5 minutes, I want to see, if this is the picture I want to see, the 5 days, well then, maybe on a smaller time frame, when you zoom in, you'll be able to see how it adjusts. So let's start. So if you click on this button here, right next to this grid, you will click Customize Grid. And this will enable the little box that comes up, okay? Once you're here, if you click the sidebar button here, it will give you the options on the side. And we want to keep this on for a moment because we're going to set up some stuff to help us trade quicker. So make sure you have the sidebar checked. If you don't see the menu, that's because the sidebar is not checked, okay? So now, if I want to add a chart to the right of this, there's a plus to the right. If I want to below, it's there as well. So if I want to add, let's say, a chart here on the upper side, I can split it up and down, right? And then I can also delete this one here. So up, I delete. If I go to this chart, click this, it's gone. If I want to add one to the right, I click to the right, okay? Does that make sense so far? Is anyone following along and doing it on Toss, or are you guys just watching?
I'm doing it.
Just
Okay.
watching.
Just watching for now.
Okay. So now I added two charts. Well, let's say I want to add one more just because I have space here, and that would be the max on this screen that I would use. Some people might try and add, something like that. This where it's a 6 grid, right? This is also doable. If you're charting on, let's say, 3-4 time frames and keeping some breadth indicators, you can definitely do that. And then you can link these up, right? So I'll show you that. So let's say we want to proceed with something like this, right? We want to trade off of 6 grid. You can definitely do that. So let's kind of close this now. I'm just going to make sure everything's closed here. And I'm going to uncheck this customize grid for a moment. And then, well, actually, I'll keep it on. So let's try typing in, let's say we trade all ES. And then we'll link this one to red. So now I'm linking these boxes to pick up the same ticker. So there's a little link button. I'm linking these red. And then this one here, I'm not going to link to the red, okay? And this is where the speed will come in. So if I look at this watch list, and we'll go ahead and create a watch list from beginning. So we cover the screen. on the bottom left, if you don't have it, there's a bottom left add gadget. So you want to click that, and then you want to click watch list. Let's say you want to create a new watch list, and we're going to call this test option watch list, and we will save it. Okay. So now it's empty, and then we can link this one to yellow, and we'll come here and link this one to yellow as well. Okay. So now the next step I usually do, let's say I want to trade SPX contracts, and this one's going to be my 5-minute time, 15-minute time frame. I'll keep this one on 1 hour. And let's say this one is your 4 hours, and this one's your daily on SPX. If that's how you have it set up, right? That's up to you. Then this piece is the one that interests me a lot for execution. If I go to trade and I type in contracts for SPX here, right? If I look at this, this is the 13th, this is the Monday. If I open, let's say I want to copy this one here, and I put that in here. So right click on the contract you want. There's a way to do the send. It never really works for me, like send to yellow. I've never had it to work. So I don't, I just click on here in the morning. I prep, copy, and I paste that here. So if I want to be in this contract, let's see, I have, the contract 490 is loaded, and let's say I want to load, and that's what I mean in the morning, like I preloaded the contract. And if I load this one just for the purpose of showing, I don't know if that's the good ones or not yet. So now if I click on this one here, the contract itself is showing, right? And I don't want to see that on daily. When I'm charting, I usually look at it on 1 minute or 3 minutes, and rarely do I have, any of these indicators here shown. So I would probably kind of delete these right here. So this is just the contract price that we are seeing here now. Right, so here's the contract price. So next thing, I don't really care about the chart in this case on the contract. I want to change this to I can actually trade it. So now on the side menu here, you have a couple of options, right? So you have time and sales, which you can enable there, which tells you how many contracts are being bought and sold. And usually you guys will see me tell you, oh, I see like a large quantity coming in on certain strike or whatever. That's based off of, the time and sales. If I want to see the active trader, and that's what we're interested, this little ribbon here or grid, then I have to uncheck the letter C, and now I'm able to see, the DOM here. So if I go here, right, let's say I click on this, and I uncheck right now, and let's say this contract for 4130s. If I'm interested in buying 4130s, let's say it's coming up to our support level, I'm looking to buy this call right here. Let's say we came back to 40.80 and that was a good price and I wanted to buy. All I have to do is click on this side. Left side is buys. You can have a stop buy above a level, meaning if it start trending above this level, I'll do a stop buy, or you could do a buy limit, or you could click buy market. If you click buy market, you're going to get the best spread, and that's a little bit more aggressive sometimes, especially when the spread is in this case like $30. So if you know where it's coming, and sometimes you'll hear me say, hey, I have an order at sell order at 5, I put the sell limit at 5, and I have a buy order at, let's say, 3.7, I would click here and it would be executing a buy order and then buy and sell. Some of you guys are pretty good at this, and I don't do it, but you guys can set up the brackets here as well. I won't go into that because I don't use them. I just use buy or sell. Unfortunately, the only thing that lags on Thinkorswim is if you have a stop order, like let's say I have a stop at 3.7, I bought it at 4.2, I can't put a sell order manually here as well. You can do that through the brackets, but not manually. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It makes sense to me. That's why I like to place bracket orders with every single order.
Yeah. Does it let you adjust the bracket order live or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So I have like a general BS one I use for every order, and then I
And then you
adjust it as soon as I place my order. Yeah.
That's actually a good thing. I might have to look into it.
I mean,
If
I
you
could
have,
teach right now. It's really simple.
Okay. Well, let me cover this and then we can touch that, right?
Okay.
So we have the active trader now enabled, and sometimes you'll hear me, we were in those Q puts, if you guys recall, I think it was 0.25, and we were able to sell them, some of us 0.37, some 0.42. I was able to quickly get into them, click buy here, and then I just put a place sell order on the right side, sell limit. If you hold the control button, it will change what this is showing. You see how I can change this to be a limit? If I let go of the control button, it becomes a stop. You have to be cautious, and this is what I hate about Thinkorswim. Sometimes when the bids are moving, like here, I would try to put a stop order here, and then it executes as a limit order. And to me, it's like, okay, hold on. Everybody's willing to buy 420, but what makes you think I was trying to sell it at 3.7? Like there was buyers at 420, and it screws you over. And I had that on the video happen on Friday.
That happens.
So you have to be cautious when you're moving this and when you're clicking that it says sell stop or sell limit. Okay. Also, something I learned the hard way on Thursday is if you have SPX contracts that are below $3, okay, you can only trade them in the increments of 0.5. Okay. You guys see how it changes from 3, it changes to 0.5 increments. Well, on mobile, it does not. It keeps the same value. So if you put a stop loss at 275, which is below $3 right here, you'll be okay. If you put a stop loss, let's say on your mobile at 305 here, it's not going to get executed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I got screwed really, really bad. And I messaged them and I'm like, okay, well, why does your mobile allow me to put that? So I lost almost like $500 just because of it. It took a trade and I thought I was out. It hit the stop loss and then it just continued. And I looked, I'm like, shit, it's at 0 pretty much. So does this make sense how you can trade? So I would just click on these options and they are changing, right? 4090, here's 4130. Of course, you can have multiple tickers and stuff. I like to keep this at least 6 to 8 so I don't have a lot. And then I sort these by symbol, right? Or you can sort them by the last or a strike, right? You can add this little column here, clicking customize, and you can add some stuff to it like strikes or whatever that you're looking for.
Shorty, don't forget to mention the auto send.
Yeah, so the auto send feature here, good, thanks for reminding me, is something that I use, right? So if you click the auto send and you click buy, there's no more, if you don't click auto send, you're gonna get a little box here with the impact to your P&L, the commission, and all the crap that they care about on their accounting and their financials. But if you click auto send and you click, let's say buy or sell market, you're not gonna have any more clicks. If I'm trading and I want to be fast, I don't want to have 4 clicks to buy something, right? So auto send enables me to click one button and I'm in or out, depending on which way I'm going. Okay. I don't use any of these. I think catching rockets, you use flatten when you want to just close the positions, right?
No, it doesn't.
Basically,
It doesn't work for options. I just cancel. I put cancel all, and then
yeah.
hit sell market or whatever. That's the
Okay.
fastest way I've found to do it.
Yeah. And if you look up here, you can find, I believe it has cancel all. Yeah. So it has cancel all here, cancel all buy, sell. You can change this template that you're seeing here. So usually I mess around. Well, on my regular one, I do have cancel all. I don't have reverse. I will never use reverse. If the flatten doesn't, I've never used it. And then this one, quantity with the buttons, you can definitely use that as a default. If you want to change the default of this, you have to go under financial setting. I'm sorry, account order settings and change it there. You can't really change the default values here. And for most of you guys, you don't really care for changing these. You can quickly adjust it and you can increase the increments when you click this plus to be 1 or 2 under your settings. I don't think you need to worry about that just yet. As long as you can get familiar with using this, I think that's pretty good. Okay, is everybody familiar? At least this is how I trade. I have the DOM, and if you guys look on my charts here, I have the DOM on the right as well. So if I look here, this is my DOM on the right, and usually even on my flex grid, since I started creating new one with you guys, mine is bottom right, and you can have the grid there. You can also, mess up one of these charts on the top, and you can squeeze this as high as you can. Sometimes the price moves so rapidly up and down, and if it's really tiny, this section here, you're going to be constantly doing this, and you don't want to do that, right? Eventually, when you see the trades coming in, there's a little volume thing here, and it's going to look like almost like a volume profile of these orders. I don't know if you guys pay attention to that. you'll be able to see where most of the contracts were bought or sold. So let me see if I can change one of these to 12. No, it's not allowing me. Okay, pay attention to it, right? When you trade, you'll see the little bars showing you how many volume size, what's the bid size, and so on. So you can see if you see an ask size sitting or something like here at 150, and you see the buys is at a handful of them, then you got to think about the market auction theory and what we talked about, right? Maybe there's a wall, and this guy, you don't want to be buying at 4.9 if there's a huge wall sitting of orders right there. So those are some logical things that you think about, right? And incorporating what we teach and kind of applying it to all around, whether it's options, contract trade, shares, or whatever you're trading futures, you can use that, right?
Shorty, as long as you have buying power, you can actually click like a limit order and show how you can drag it around. And same with a stop order right now.
Yeah.
So people can see.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that. So you can put this and then you can change this to the bottom. I didn't know you could do that. You can change it to the bottom, to the top, and sell limits. I don't have brackets, so it won't work on the upper side, but you can drag this guy up or down. That's pretty cool.
Can you say that again, please?
If you click on it, you can drag this guy. You see how I'm moving this?
Yes.
I'm dragging this guy. I'm not clicking canceling. I'm just dragging, and these orders are coming in automatically to cancel here on top left.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
I think most of you, if you ever use DOM, you can do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think you can click here, yeah, and
Yeah,
cancel.
you can cancel it on your chart as well.
I don't ever do that. I don't know why. I find
Yeah,
it,
you
but I
cancel
never
it.
nail it.
Do you want to
Always.
show the bracket orders really quick, Shorty? It's
I'll let
really
you do
nice.
that. I've never done it, honestly. I'm probably horrible at it. And I think you've done a class. I mean, I think multiple of you guys have done bracket orders classes. So if they want to, they can revisit that
Yeah, it's real
because
simple.
we're on a time box. So I don't use them, honestly. And if it helps you guys to use them, all for it, right? Go use it. I don't use them just because I'm watching the price action, I'm watching the contracts. I think bracket orders come in helpful uh if you're trying to, like, you're not staring at the screen at all times, or if you want to have a certain ratio just based on the option price, you can use that, right? And I don't know what the intention is, right? When catching rockets trading, maybe he doesn't have every moment to look at the screen, so he can put a stop buy and a stop immediately, and then like he said, he can use that bracket order to adjust, which is pretty cool. I would say that's nice. I don't know why they don't allow manual adjustment like many other brokers, right? Like TradeStation allows me to adjust it manually instead of using the bracket order feature, right? Another setup, so if I was to kind of go over this is one setup that you can use. A lot of people then use the ability, let me go here, I'll just wipe them, to have multiple contracts per chart. So where you wouldn't link all of these, let's say we start off with one and you want to have, let's say this one here, you want to add one below and one below here. Let's say you're only trading SPX here, puts and calls. Well, what some people do here is they will set this up like this, and they will put these contracts like as two boxes, and then I would insert another box here, and I would add, let's say I'm gonna add, let's create a new one, Watchlist 2. Some people have this where they would link this one here and they would link the other one, let's say the purple one. So here, right? So if I just copy that one there for a moment, and we'll put this to be a put. We'll just change it on the fly. Okay. So this one now is going to be a put, right? And you would change this. Let me see, where's the... I would click these right here. And you don't need the chart. Okay. So they would basically set it up the same way here. If you guys look at this, what I'm doing. you would have the buttons here, and you would disable the chart. And what they do is, if you're limited on space, you would set it up. And I think there's a way, I don't know, don't quote me on it. You'll have to look into yourself, to enable these to be on a vertical, meaning on a horizontal side here instead of vertical like this. I really don't know how. Let's see. I would remove some of these, like reverse, flatten, and that I would keep here. And then, of course, enable the auto send. And then you would have these buttons. Let's say if you're really, really scalping fast, you could do that, right? So you could put SPX here, and then you would have this contract linked to this lilac here. And now you would have quickly, if I'm trading puts, for instance, on the right screen, you could do that here. Or if you're trading calls, you can trade that one call here or load multiple, like 4120s, 4100s, and same on the put side, and you can have them loaded multiple ways. So if you have multiple screens, of course, you could replicate this. I just find this more error prone when I did it years before, meaning like, I'm like, okay, man, did I click on the right box? Did I not? To me, you can do this. Some people do it with different tickers. Like if you have NVIDIA or, like you put Tesla here, you load up with Tesla contract, you do that. And you don't have to link them. You can unlink this if you don't want to unlink, and you can just put the contracts there and you can do that. But I struggled with it when I had it this way. And then I came up with the different setup where I would use the active trader here. So this is my favorite one that I use. If I'm trading SPX, this would be my preference. I'm trading of such like this. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So any questions on this? Does this help you? And you will have to play with it, right? Just like it's one thing to learn it. It's different to understand it and apply it, right? So I suggest you set it up like this and then, practice, find a contract, like look up X or something like that, right? Where the contracts are, super cheap. Not that, I meant to type in X.
Practice on the demand feature, Shorty. It helps out a lot.
Yeah, I've never done it. So and my computer never seems to like that crap.
Yeah, well,
So if you look at these contracts, I mean, $7, $8, right? I don't know, right? You can practice with this even with a little bit more where delta is a little bit higher and go to it and see how would you trade that, right? If you look at this, let me link this one to yellow, right? You can set up here and kind of trade, buy at 9, sell it at 12, just know your commissions or whatever the fees, just know you're learning and you're not really caring about losing $1 or $2. It's not a bad tuition to learn something like this and practice trading on a DOM. Okay.
I have a quick question. I got a little bit lost in the beginning. When you had the active trader on the bottom right,
Like this or this one? Sorry, I have them both. So tell me which one.
the one on now it's on the top right.
Okay.
Yeah. When you clicked from the left, the contracts that you had, is that where it loaded onto? I don't use that. And
so what I do is I add a watch list for contracts, right? So I go to trade and I just say I'm buying these and I copy them and I'll come here and I'll paste them, right? So I just Control V here and I'll have that contract there, right? So now if I click that, it's changing here. That's 30 call, this is 25 put, and it's changing. So I preload this watch list with things I'm gonna trade. So, and if the price is changing a lot on SPX when I'm trading, I just copy, let's say this 4130. Well, I'll paste it and I can manually change the contract price here. So let's say 4100 or whatever. Right.
Shorty, there's also a way that you don't have to copy and paste. You can just left click and add to the watch list.
Yeah, it doesn't work for me. That's what I was showing earlier. Like add to, I don't know.
Add to whatever list you named.
Yeah, it doesn't work. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Really?
I don't know why.
Because you need to add it to the list, not add it to the color.
Exactly.
To one of these?
To whatever you
Yeah,
named.
to whatever
Oh.
was.
Okay, I see. Because I always thought it would add to the color. Okay.
No.
Well, that's easier
right
even
here.
now. I guess I learned something new. So if you add to the watch list and you clean up your watch list a little bit so you don't have 45,000 like me, it'll be easier for you. So you should probably have 3 watch lists. One, if you're watching stocks, right? So you can quickly change and they can be linked, meaning, link this to the red or something, right? And then your watch list, you can, change the colors or whatever the way you're going to trade it. So I would do that. Let's say I want to remove this one. I want to remove this guy. So now I have a DOM on the right and orders here, and that'll be the quickest way to trade for me.
Well, I guess where I'm getting a little bit lost on the right, is that where you actually, like on the top where it says buy market, is that where you execute the order, not on the left where you preloaded it?
Yeah. So this is just me loading a contract so I can see it on the DOM. I would place a trade using the DOM here, right? If you look at this 4130, like I click this and I come here, it would be basically the auto send feature, enable it. If I click this and I click the limit and I can move this up or down, right? That would be my ability to change the order on the auto send. I can click buy market and you're going to get whatever the closest bid or spread is between these two. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I use
I want to use this here to trade unless, do I hit market order sometimes? Yes, I hit it on Friday. I believe it was the one I lost with dumpster. I think it was the 4070s. I clicked buy order and it filled me like something like 135. And if I was to do that, multiple times, I can use that, but I prefer to use the DOM itself.
Yeah, it's much easier.
I understand. I'm using Webull. I have Toss, but I don't use it. That's why I'm just trying to see.
Yeah, I really don't know much about Webull. A lot of people ask me, well, how do you trade DOM or Volume Pro? I have no idea. I think TJ is probably the best person to ask, and I've seen his videos on YouTube about it.
Yeah, they call it price ladder.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not familiar like that much on it, so I really
Yeah,
wouldn't know.
I haven't used it, so I'm trying to see, if it's better. And
Yeah, I think
honestly-
Toss probably the best one. It takes a little bit like teaching just because it looks so outdated. But then once you get it, I think it's the best one.
Oh man, I think it's quick
yeah,
too.
it's pretty fast. Exactly.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Okay.
And at times you call out and say there's a like a full send or there's a double arrow on the contract itself.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you see that? Do you have a chart for the contract with all the
Yeah. So on
indicators?
my top left, usually I have a chart on a contract, like on my regular Flex Grid. I don't know how let's see if I do this. Okay. So now if you look at my regular loading grid, this is what I see on my charts, right? So I'm able to see because I have those studies showing up here. So if I click this and I kind of maximize this and I look at the studies, I have certain studies in here that I watch for the contract itself. Okay. Let me see, this one is linked. And if I click this show studies, I have certain studies and I have full send enabled on this list.
Okay.
And I have the orbs, so I know where the contract is. Sometimes, like you said, I'll see double arrow showing up. Sometimes I'll say, hey, the contract's at the orb low. If it's coming to the orb low and let's say support on a SPX or whatever ES, then I'm able to quickly react to it. When, if I'm scalping from 4.3 to, I don't know, 4.88, that's something that I would play. And yeah, good question. But you can load stuff here. These are just the orbs, the trend bar in the cloud. Some of these I remove, depending on, the price action and the cleanliness. And like you see, sometimes I just click here and disable it all. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions on this?
I have a question about that full send working on the, does it work on the options?
Yeah, I use it on options. I wouldn't use it on 1 minute. If you're gonna use it, but to choose between 3 and 5, maybe 5 is the best. And just I prefer to use Ashi candles if you're going to be using that on full send feature. Okay. I think you have full send. So. Okay. So does that help? And if you have questions, you can rewatch it or just ask. And I think we can kind of cover the details of it.
Yeah, that's definitely helpful. Thank you.
And you're not going to become like, expert in a day. You're going to have some error. I still have mistakes and errors on DOM, especially with the stop and limit, below the price sometimes that I sell lower than people are willing to pay. So just make sure that, when you're trading that you're focused, your limit orders are not below the current, market price. Because you're going to be giving your contract for a lot less, and the market maker is probably just smiling somewhere and be like, huh, like you're letting me have it for a lot cheaper. Okay. The unfortunate stop loss for me did happen on my 1K account after a reset. So I took a nice beating on that. And I'll, I can even post you guys my chat with the Thinkorswim support. They're just ruthless. They said,
I remember you saying that.
They just don't care, right? And I was like, okay, no problem. I mean, it was substantial loss, almost $580 for the contract. So we'll get it back, but yeah, I took a step back on that. So, and I've been growing it pretty nice. One time when we had the SPX, I grew the account to almost 2,200. I reset it to 1,000. I got it back to 1,800. Then we had a couple of good trades, and I left those two on. And then, it just went a little bit against me. So, but it's okay.
And last week too, same thing.
Yeah, it really, really like hurt knowing that after the fact, it hurt more than during, if that makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah, but no problemos. All right. Well, I think we are past the time boxing, 20 minutes on that. Covering a few slides from profiles. So if you guys, how many of you have not been through the market auction theory, like the PowerPoint? Is there anyone on the call? Okay. Let me ask this then. What is the purpose of the market? Why is the market there? Since some of you guys are understanding this, what is the purpose of the market for you guys?
To facilitate the trade.
Facilitate opportunities.
Yeah. So the market is just there to facilitate, right? I mean, it's a bunch of buyers, sellers on different time frames. I could be a buyer on a, let's say 2-minute time frame on a micro trend, and then on a macro trend could be a seller at the same level, taking the price initiative, selling down or up, right? Depending on where we are. So the market is literally there just to kind of drive the price, whether it's up or down on opportunities. And us as participants in the market, we have zero influence, or you cannot manipulate the market to do something in the favor of the trade that you're in. Once you accept that and you're willing to accept the risk, your trading becomes easier. Just because I bought VIX calls doesn't mean the VIX has to spike up. Like it would be selfish and ruthless for me to think that I can influence the market to go one way or another, right? So I'm adding a little bit more beef to the PowerPoint for, especially the newer folks. If you're not familiar, with the market auction theory, I'm adding some of the breakdown of the market action theory, the price, the time, the volume, right? All of them play really, really important piece to create value. And that's what you guys care about as well, right? You want to be at the right time. You want to buy at the right price. And then, the volume is it's measuring for us to see who's in there, who's not. If you see price going up and a lot of volume bars on the bottom are increasing, it's telling you maybe the institutional buyers or sellers are involved, right? If you see time, and I tried to explain this timing a few times in the Discord through the chat, This is a fairly important concept, right? And if I showed you guys the concept of the Tesla stock, right? The time and opportunity were really there, right? So the time regulates that. If you're watching Tesla stock and you missed opportunity to, excuse me, to buy it at 100, 110, well, the opportunity wasn't there for long. That means the price was brought in a lot below the value, right? So it had a discount on stock price, right? And then there was a lot of buyers and they said, hey man, this price of Tesla at hundreds is way below the value. So they started buying it. And then, you know, whether they profited or not or closed their trades is dependent on what kind of investor or time frame they're looking. But the key point is it went below the value. And the buyers were like, no, 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 this is worth a lot more. Let's buy it up. And then basically the bidding and war started. I can't get it at 130. Then you get people buying at 160. The latecomers, they're like, oh man, it's going to go to 300. I can get 100% if I buy it at 150. And they kept driving it up. Well, then you don't know what the intention of the person on a longer time frame where they sold off initially from certain levels, right? So that's where you can use volume, right? Volume profile, that is, and figure out, like say, like 215, 220 level on Tesla was fairly important, and that's kind of where we are selling from right now. So that's the, you know, the time, and then of course the price, the discovery, and seeing the value, if it's being, you know, accepted or not, helps you figure out, you know, if you should or should not buy. Okay. So hopefully you guys can, you know, conceptualize the market action theory and how it works, because this is the key to the market. And it literally becomes all about supply and demand and the value acceptances. You know, I talked about the peanut butter guy, you know, him having a peanut butter shop. Well, if he jacks up the peanut butter price, let's say the crunch peanut butter was in the high demand, and then he increased the price, and then he sees less and less buyers coming at that price. Well, the first instinct that he has to do if he has a lot of supply is to do what?
Get rid of it.
Say what?
Put it on sale.
Get rid of his supply.
Yeah, well, he has to lower the price, right? And let's say he lowers the price a little bit, right? Well, a few more buyers show up and you know, they go there, but he still has a lot of inventory. Well, if he lowers the price, let's say a lot, he drops it from $8 a jar to like $2 a jar, and he has a lot of inventory at those levels, you're going to have responsible buyers come in, even if they don't need that peanut butter, right? If they have some already, but they can say, hey, at $2, I can just buy some, right? And especially if I bought it at 5, now if I buy another 2 jars, my average cost of that jar is going to be below like 2.7, 2.8, right? 2.5-ish.
Yeah.
So now they're like, oh yeah, man, I'll just buy these jars. But at the same time, something is happening like that on the other side, meaning the owner of those jars that's selling them super low, what's going to happen to his inventory?
Depletion.
Go
They're
quick.
going to, yeah, his inventory is going to get depleted real quick. So now just economics, right? If I don't have inventory and everybody in the community, in the neighborhood is like, hey man, he had the sale at 250. And now when they come, it's like, yeah, I ran out. And then let's say he gets them back in stock. Are you gonna put them back at 250 or a different level?
Different one.
Huh?
Different price.
There's
What
demand in
price?
the market, so price has to increase.
Yeah, the price has to increase. So most likely he's gonna increase it towards the equilibrium, right? Somewhere in the middle of the extreme and somewhere in the middle of the extreme low. Extreme high, value area high, and then extreme low, value area low. He's gonna find kind of the equilibrium and put the price there. And those guys that were not able to get it, or ladies, they're going to come back, be like, okay, well, 375, most of you got it at 250, and I see that, you know, the supply is not very heavy. I'm okay buying that. And then he establishes basically the pattern. So if you think about Tesla, what is Tesla doing with the price of the cars? Literally same example. What did he do in China?
Find a new value.
Well, he had a lot of inventory in China, supposedly, and he lowered the price a lot. People went crazy and bought him. He upset the existing owners of the Tesla, and they're like, blah, blah, blah. He gave them some sort of discount, or he offered some kind of service, I believe, to kind of compensate them. But at the same time, the inventory levels on that dropped. And now what did he do to the price?
Raise the price.
He increased the price on the Teslas again in China. So it's literally the same concept. They do that all the time. And that happens in the stock market a lot. So when I say, you know, on the slide here below, let me just click here. See, let me get to this slide that I care about for a moment. If I say that, you know, the stock price opens above the value area high, then it falls back inside the value area. The reason it's bearish is that you had people buying in certain level and they are happy. Then you sent it to the highest level above the value area high. In terms of peanut butter case, what does it mean? I increased the peanut butter case price above what people were usually paying for, and I tested to see if people are willing to buy high, and no people showed up.
They were not happy.
So people are not happy buying at that price. Once you bring it back inside the value area where you were, the auction might lead that, and usually does 80% of the time, might lead it to the opposite extreme, and they might start buying there. And usually when we go back to the value area low, that's a, you know, that's a pretty good support, because now you have two things. You have those initial people that were buying a value, right, low, that were wanting to buy there, they'll buy, but then you have those long-term buyers, right, that might see it like, oh, okay, well, at this level, it's even cheaper because I'm looking at this for long term. So now they're just giving me a better cost. And the same thing happens in the stock market, right? The key is, right, you know, understanding the structure and understanding where are we in terms of the bigger picture. One day, you know, in terms of the big picture is not a lot. I posted something else, you know, if you give two kids to put a jigsaw puzzle and see who's going to finish faster. If I give one kid a full picture of what the, you know, puzzle should look like, and I don't give it to the other, you know, most likely the kid that saw the puzzle, even for 5 seconds, the full picture is going to complete it faster. And it's the same thing in the market, right? A lot of people speculating, you know, this is the top, this is the bottom. Well, you just have to look at, you know, a little bit of macro picture, look at the higher time value areas, look at the trend. Are we making higher highs on value areas? Are we overlapping? You know, what percentage are we overlapping? And that will give you an idea, you know, are we ready to move higher or lower? So when we mark those areas like January, you know, Q3 value area highs, or first year, you know, hot value area high and low, or 22, or second half, it's not just to add a level on my chart, it's to understand, for me, what is the picture. If I see us breaking or bouncing like we did, let's say of Jan value area high, it's telling you, hey, there's people willing to buy here and it's being accepted at higher prices.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, it's a line and a bounce. No, you got to understand the logic and the full picture of it. It's not necessarily just a level, you know, and sometimes when we post these levels, it might look like, you know, oh my God, there's a bunch of levels here on the chart. Well, maybe I've deleted them all, but oh, there's a bunch of levels. No, these levels are here for a reason. It's to tell me certain things where we are. If we close, let's say below this level here, well, then there's a high chance that no, we might be executing all the way to the Jan value area low, that we are not accepting prices higher. And so far, if I was to look at it, right, from the value area perspective, I would say that they're looking to potentially defend this and go higher. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you got to see the overall picture, not just, you know, if you're looking at, if you're a day trader and checking day to day, well, you got to be careful and know where these levels are. That's why we mark them. It's not to mark them to, you know, just have a level and identify it on your screen. It's to know how to use it. Okay. So now it's a very interesting, you know, spot in the market that we are in. We are respecting the JN value area high. We are also above the kind of 4 months. If you guys go back on your charts and you look at the 4 months, we're also respecting that. If you guys recall the 489, 490 level, it was well respected, right? So far, until we dip below these levels like 4076, there's really no indication that they want to take it down. At least they're defending this still. Okay. So overall, you know, maybe there's some gas left. You know, if you look at the volume here, there's some ticking volume coming up, stronger volume on ES, especially when you go on 3 days here. There's some volume pickup, right? I mean, on the 3 days, you're hitting the supply, the previous liquidity zones, and the volume is increasing. And now you have a little, a couple of days left on this one, 2 days, but they're trying to potentially reverse this. So it's going to be a big fight. And that 40.36 level that we talked about before is going to be crucial. This level is important on so many cases, whether it's a SR flip. Then if you go into your quarterlies and if you look at the monthlies, you will notice this level a lot, the 40.36. It's going to be a fairly important level to reclaim. And then if they do, they could be setting up for the runs to 4,300. And then if they break that, the 44.60. So the bigger picture, right? This is a big fight right now where we're at, right? Anything that, somebody predicts or claims, it's pure luck. Right now we're stuck and we're going to see how they want to play it. If my bias, if I'm going to set up, how do I think it might play out? It doesn't really matter because on Tuesday, you have a CPI. So, and I'm not trying to say that my bias, if I do set up one, that doesn't mean I trade necessarily only that bias, right? Sometimes you'll see me set up 1 or 2 scenarios, right? If this happens, then I react this way, or if that happens, I'll react this way. That's to take the bias completely out, because a lot of people set up the bias and then on a trend day, all they want to do is short, short, short. On trend day up, they want to short, short, short. And those are the worst days you can have because you'll keep averaging down and the stock or whatever keeps going up. And those are the deadliest days. If you're caught on the wrong trend day, on the wrong side, man, those can be painful. And I've been there where, you're trying to short something that you shouldn't short, or you're trying to go long on something you shouldn't go long on.
Yep.
And that's, having the bias, but also having the option A and B, and then see which one is the material, right? Which one do you go on with? And quickly recognizing, right, for a lot of you newer traders, right, we've talked about this, and, on Friday, I think I've shown you the way it works multiple times. We've taken trades off of here. We took trades off of here. I wasn't here for live. I took a break when this happened right here on lunch, but we started going up, right? But IBH and IBL and pretty much we're not broken above. I mean, if you look at this, yeah, 350, I don't care about that, right? Most traders on Friday, I would say, are pretty much done here, usually, in the first couple of hours of the market open. Okay, so using IBH and IBL will help a lot of you, especially for the 1K challenge. If you're patiently waiting for that and you have multiple confluences, I think it can really, really, really help you here, guys. And I strongly suggest that you start waiting for these and kind of see what the bias is. If we set the IBH and we started going immediately higher, right, breaking this, I would have been like, okay, well, maybe they really want to trend up and, they have some initiative buyers here and the sellers are disappearing, right? So that would be interesting if they did that, right? I would think that the day is going to go the opposite direction and go from there. And then, when we bounced off of IBL here, right? I even mentioned that it's fairly aggressive, right? There was not many orders, right? If you look at this volume profile, it was just 1 or 2 aggressive orders that brought it back inside the value here. And then they never really dipped below, right? So if you look at this level, once they came, they really never dipped to below. And then we know if you're, in a D-shaped profile like you were here, and you're closing above the POC, it's more indicating towards the bullish side than it is indicating towards a bearish side. And in this case, they closed above the value area high. Does that make sense? And I covered that
That's
up
correct.
also in the profile here. Okay. So it's something that you guys want to kind of start paying attention to, especially when you're trading. First thing when we opened, let's say, the trading on Monday, tomorrow, is this, right? You look at this. Let me hide these lines. We add volume profile. Where is it? We'll add this guy and we'll look at it, right? So here's our ETA, ES with the extended hours on, and I'm able to see, right? So this is our PD value area high. We closed above it. So this is already telling me that we are most likely going to open above it. If we gap down, right, because we open at 6 p.m., well, then, it changes things, right? The perception, everything can be changed quickly based on this. And what do you notice about the value areas? If you're analyzing this, anyone notice something interesting here, or
They're tighter.
It's thin,
they're what?
It's thin.
Yeah, it's very narrow. It's a very narrow. And what did I mention about these narrow ones? Does anyone recall?
Dip over.
Yeah, so
Not
if
a
you
lot of
think-
market participants.
Yeah,
Right.
not a lot of market participants here. And what it tells you also is if you think about if you're building a house, right? If your concrete base is like this and you built a house that's a couple of floors and high, higher chance that this house tips over on either side.
No
If my
foundation.
base and value area is wider, well, higher chance that this house is not going to tip over anywhere. So the bases, the value areas that you're building are fairly important to know which way we tip over. Now, when you look at the bigger picture right here, right, we look at, I don't know how many days this is. If you look at this, you have the value area here. You're going a little bit lower. You're still not taking out high value areas here. And you're not taking out value area highs. A lot of overlap between them, which means confusion. We don't know which way we're going yet. And then here, you're making lower lows on value area, and now you have lower lows and lower highs. So now it's interesting, right? If you're able to get inside this value area here, I would say, if you're able to get in here over 41.12, there's a good chance that we might push this all the way to the top, about 41.70. Because they're obviously not accepting the values here below this, right? Below this one, and they want to get back inside here. So there's a high chance they might just push this above it. And then if we get a retest here, they can go higher, right? When I see something like this, and I've shared this multiple times, what do you guys see here in terms of just candles? Not really volume, nothing here. So if you guys just look at the picture right here on the top, what do you see here?
There's a bear flag at the end there.
Sure, I'm talking about like the structure, right? So
It's
if
trending
you look
up.
at the structure here, and if I draw this line somewhere around here, it seems like that you have another range here on the top.
Yeah.
That we broke inside this range, and now we are trying to hold in this level again. So if that's the case for me, I don't need much more than this. I can draw this value area high and low and draw the FVP from it and know what the critical points are off this range. And it's basically giving me a cumulative or whatever number of days are from here. So February 1st to the 12th, now I have a cumulative POC and I can use that, right? So I know this level here is going to be crucial on the cumulative time frames, right? So for 13 days, this is where they were tending to reject. And if you guys recall, we called this rejection based off that last time. And then if they're able to reclaim that, oh, what do you know? Look at the cumulative level now. You guys see that? So now if you're able to get back inside, this could be seen as a spring here, right? If you're using this as a spring, that means that there's a high chance we push to 41.73 or whatever the top is right now, about 42.09. There's a high chance that they could sprint here, maybe hold this, whatever this level is, 492, come back, reclaim this, and then depends what kind of trader you are. This is also in your PowerPoint on how to trade them. If you guys recall, I put in a couple of slides on how you can trade these. Let me make sure. Let's see. If you guys pay attention to this, you can trade this multiple ways, and here's these level. Is it the same setup? So you can look at this and kind of identify, okay, well, we were back into this range. We had a nice little spring here. Now, you had a, if you want to call this the creek, that was a creek. We sent it all the way to the bottom. Now, if we fail out of this range, below 492, which we know is an important level, multiple levels, then it signifies is that maybe we'd be looking for the lower level area. And all you have to do is kind of zoom out. Like, where do you see consolidations here? Right? If you look at these levels, well, it's not too bad to mark something like this as a level where we're going up to the top and a bounce. So then I would look at this level, and it's fairly close to the Psych 4000, that this level might be acting as support and resistance for a move down. So that's, 90 points down, 90 points up with the CPI coming. Both of these are doable. Do I know which one just yet? Well, if they reclaim 4112, I would say a high chance we go here. If we go below this 4080 level here, PD value area low, then I have another 72 points of higher probability to the downside. And I'm now just thinking, hey, setups and probabilities. Over here, you pop, higher chance we go higher. Go below here, higher chance we go lower. Because if I was to look at volume profile just from here to the top here, what do I see? Do I see strong structure or poor structure? This is a fair, yeah, this is pretty poor structure here, right? I mean, you have a lot of gaps here on these, Fed days when Jay Powell speaking. You accumulated here before, right? So if you guys think about volume, you accumulated here on a lot of volume or not? You look at this was, not a lot of volume accumulation. And we came to that level, right? The 468, slightly below 8 points. And we bounced right off of it. So now I'm just looking to see what do they want to do, right? What's the structure that they want to play with? They fell and they tested it, right? We tried to go higher than this consolidated value area high, and we failed multiple times, and we've shown in the day session as well that we failed. So now if you look at it on the bigger picture, right? Let's say I zoom out, forget all this, and I'm like, hey, show me the macro picture of what we're doing, right? If I go here and I zoom this out, right? So here's my yearly value area highs and lows. So I know my 22 value area is right here, right? So now I'm like, okay, well, if you're able to go over 42.20, my bias is what?
They're going to try to take it to January, 2021 value area high.
Bullish.
Yeah, first they have to accept it, right? They have to say, yeah, we want to take this above, right? If we take this above and come back for a retest and hold it, then it's good. But if you look here, remember, this one wasn't set. So you can't use this as a confirmation, even though, you're in August, half the year has been developed, but maybe this level wasn't there at that time. So now if you, look at it, if you're able to go above it and you place your longs here again, your stop loss is somewhere below based on the profile or whatever you're looking long term. You would go long on a retest, pop, retest 42.20, that'd be bullish. But now if I look at the structures, right, on the yearly basis, and I look at value areas, you had the high, then you had a lower high, and a little bit of lower low on the value area. Now you're just pretty much in the middle here for 2023. You're trading in the middle here. We have not tested the low here. Okay, so this 36.26 was not tested in the new year yet. So we tested the extreme here. We came very close to testing this extreme here, 42.20. We haven't tested the bottom. So if we're unable to find new buyers here, what does the guy with the peanut butter have to do?
Lower in
Lower the
price.
price.
Lower price.
He has to empty the inventory and he has to lower the price. And then our goal is to find where the people want to buy peanut butter. Are they looking to buy it at 40.33, or they're looking for a better discount on peanut butter? Is it, 39.64? Could be. Then you have this one. Or do we go, to the levels of discount that the peanut butter is going to be really bought up? Okay. Does that make sense? So start thinking in the logical terms of the profiles and the picture. There's a lot more to market profiles, volume profiles, rather than just value areas. This understanding, if you look at, the thickness and the shaping of the volume profiles, right? That also matters, right? if there's a lot of, you know, single prints and 10 profiles on the top and the price is really being rejected, you know, those are, you know, responsible sellers. And then if it accelerates, then it means, you know, initiative sellers are coming through key levels. Like here, you had a lot of initiative sellers. They're like, man, just offload. I really don't want to deal with this. They were like, quickly offload from this level. They're really not accepting prices here much. Even when we started, we tried twice, and these sellers were like, no, man, we can't take this higher. Many buyers. And you see the auction telling you here, right? 2 times they told you on this level, if you're above this range here of previous value area high, we popped above it. They're like, nope, bring it back down. And then you had some, you know, obviously, if you look at the shelves, the buyers come in. It's like, hey, I do find value here, but we're not making really high highs. So it's not as strong. And then all of a sudden, some buyers are coming on the different time frames and they drive this price higher. And again, what do? They peak above here and they said, really can't. There's not much I can do here to buy here. And then boom, pop under and sold off. So now you're trying to create an image like, hey, scenario, what is it that they're trying to do? These sellers right here are pretty active. If you look at this, right? They're active here and now they came back to it and I would say they reacted quickly to it as well. You see they came in, they offloaded good amount of volume. You know, we are making lower highs, lower lows. The bulls, you know, see a bull market and a bull flag here, but really doesn't matter in terms of patterns what you see, right? They don't work as often as the picture that the market's telling you. Right now, I see an exhaustion of buyers, right? But that can change with news, right? That's why I don't trade news. They can quickly pop over this level and say, hey, new value area found, we're going higher. And CPI can do that, right? If I tell you the economy is booming, inflation's coming down, it could generate new buyers and drive the price higher. These guys that were skeptical here, what do you think they will do next time they come to the next supply? If they didn't sell here and the price drove higher, well, if I tell you Tesla shares stuck here at 200 level and some crazy buyers come in and drive it to 300 and you still have the same amount of shares, what are you going to do? If you're willing to be a potential responsible seller here, what are you going to do here?
Let's sell it.
You're going to sell it. You're going to be an aggressive. You're going to be offloading as much as you could. So that's kind of the thinking behind, right, the market structures and profiles. And I'm probably going to explore and add a lot more slides to this. A lot more in detail, a little bit more complexity, right? So if you think about this PowerPoint, it has evolved 7 versions, right? Started from the beginning, ideas, visual. Now it's going to be the logical kind of trading, right? How do I add more logic to reading of the profiles and understanding really the details of it, right? And understanding the characteristics of, you know, what does it mean, you know, that you rejected if you go on 30 days here, on 30 minutes and go on SVP. Like, what does it mean, you know, that you had 10 profile up top, you know, you had a failed auction here, and then we drew a price lower? Well, it means that the auction, nobody was willing to go higher on a price here, right? And then we came back, of course, retested, and then we continued down, and this guy had to sell the peanut butter a little bit cheaper, right? So now if I look at this action here, we did pop over this action here higher, but it seems like what? Well, there was another sellers, right? You know, there's some sellers sitting here and they're like, you know, as you come here, we're probably going to sell a little bit more. And here, if you look at these prints, when the prints are thin and the reaction is fast, that means value is going to be bought up quickly. If you see a profile like this and it's, you know, you see how it's thin, it's not really thick on the bottom, kind of not unified. When you see these prints, that means the value is going to be quickly bought up. It means there was an aggressive guy sitting there and he found value where it was and they're just going to buy back up. So I'll add more details to this for everyone and then maybe hold a little bit like detailed level on the structures and the meanings of them, and then kind of get you guys thinking how you can look at it on your own. And my analysis might be different than yours, but it should be very close once you kind of understand the prints. Okay. Okay, somebody's trying to say something, but like an alien. I don't know who that was. Okay. Any questions on this?
No,
Or in
thanks.
the slides that you're going to add, can you also, I know it would be a little bit more complex, but the other day you were talking about reading the session volume profile one after another, like where the value area is going from higher high, higher low standpoint, how POC is shifting. That concept I was trying to read in Wyckoff 2.0 last night, still not very clear to me. Maybe I'll have to read it again. But in the slides, if you could, add that, that would really help.
Yeah, I can add that. And the day-to-day sessions and reading profiles is not that difficult, right? If you're looking, let's say from, what is this, February 1st, so let's say a monthly POC. So I can, go here, I can enable it quickly, and I will see a month POC. I'll just go on 4 hours, and I will enable this, and now I'll be able to see the monthly POC here. This is basically what you're asking me to do. In comparison, what's happening here, now I'm able to quickly tell, let me see this, this SVP. Let me just hide something. Well, too many, yeah. I want to hide this one. So now if you look at this monthly, which is basically combining all of them, it's telling you we were in the value area. We rejected the value area high here nicely, right? This is a developing month. We popped below the value. So we are outside of February value right now. We are coming very close to it. If we're able to regain it, that's why I said that 41.12 level, then we're looking a little bit bullish, right? And we could be testing the extremes on the opposite side. But now if I look at it day to day, I see pretty much telling me the same image. We had the value area high here, right? We consolidated, we covered this concept here on the 3 profiles and a squeeze, as that's what they've been doing for a while. Now they're popping out of this poor structure and going up, and this structure is really not holding anything. The reason why they were able to break here and under is really there was no structure here to buy it up. And look where they came back. They came back here. They're making higher high here, higher lows compared to this on the volume profile. Then the value is taken out. They're not willing to facilitate trades above. They're trying to find the peanut butter is too expensive at the top, and they're trying to find where are these buyers right now. They brought it back here, and the buyer's like, man, there's still no value here. Let's bring it. So they started trading in the range again. You see how tight the volume profile was here, and then a massive pop again. This was the Fed's, JPOW speaking and standing, doing nothing. They popped higher, and then they quickly brought the value area in line, right? So if you look from here, majority of the volume was in this area for these 2 days. This one and this one, the value was there, had higher value here, so it should be respecting this. But knowing that this structure that got us there was fairly poor, they came back to test to see the last buyers that were there, are they real or not? So if I was to grab this area from here to here, I would expect the real buyers to be showing up somewhere around 40.35 level, because they accumulated here. I don't think this day here particularly caused this pop. I know this was after hours, but it's these guys that knew from, I guess, January 22nd. They knew what was going on, and here just made it look like. So this structure here is poor. Most likely we come back and test, the middle of this structure here and kind of come back to it. So I can tell based on day volume profiles and the sessions, are they finding higher value or lower value? So here I see, a lot of single prints on session volume profiles, and they're not willing to facilitate above it. So they're trying to find buyers below. Okay. And same thing here. They brought it back inside, and the sessions are, if you look at this was a 10 section of this volume profile. They're like, nope, I'm just gonna be a seller here. And then they didn't even, try to go with the wicks higher. Like there was no offers going higher here. So now if they're able to kind of accumulate here, like they're trying here off of this bounce and get it again, then, it will shift this value area probably to the inside of these, an accumulative one, and then they'll be looking to go higher. But right now we are pointing lower value area highs on small time frames, and we are defending bigger picture value areas. So until we break the bigger picture value area high, there's really no reason to be bearish right now. Okay, but I'll add a little bit more beef to that, and it might sound complex at first, but it'll make sense once you guys read it.
Yeah, makes sense.
And a lot of people want to, and not you, CK, I'm not targeting anyone with this. This is probably the most complex at first. And then once you start seeing it, you're like, oh yeah, that puzzle makes sense. Because you're able to see it because other people might not know, understanding the volume, understanding the price behaviors at the levels, the auctions, the thin profiles. And then, the time piece, once you understand, like if you add TPO to it and you add the letters, right, the alphabets, and hey, for the first 30 minutes you're happening in this range, then the letter B comes and it's below letter A on the volume on the structure of the profile on TPO. What does that mean?
Exactly, that's where I was going, because that's the piece which is still not unclear to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, and that's the second level details. I would call it, that's almost at the most complex level of details on TPO, is combining volume and the TPO and understanding what's it telling you. So once we get there, and I would say majority of people are okay with volume profile and understanding the volume profile. TPO is a different animal on its own. A lot of professional traders, a lot of traders on the floor also use volume profile, but you will see them having, they would have something like, it looks like this, and then you would see them having another volume profile on the right. And they're going to pay attention to the TPO as well as the, the VPO or volume profile here to see how we are trading all together. And it's important because the puzzle, the formula of the market is what? We just covered it. What's the value of the market?
Price time value, price time volume.
Price time.
So I can't just be focused on price and volume, right? Without time. Right. So your opportunity for time, it's really, really important. A lot of people see this. I guarantee you 99% of traders only care about the 9:30 and 4 o'clock. And hence they get this.
Yep.
And once you add, what I'm trying to teach you about the bell curves, right? We talk about that, the 68% of the volume. Once you understand the value and how the price fluctuates with different values, how do you know that it's initiative buyers intraday, but not initiative sellers on a higher time frame that are going and dipping between value areas? How do you distinguish that? That's the question well, that's a complex question that you need to understand time, TPO. You need to understand the volume profile, right? And then also the volume analysis. I sent you guys a screenshot of VPA on SPY, not to just highlight it, but it's for you guys to think about the last piece of the values, the volume, right? Are the market participants right now, whether they're who's participating in the market right now? If you guys think about this, I posted this for you guys. Well, I took it off now. Who's participating in the market right now?
Retail, because of volume's not that high.
And you can do it on the higher time frames, right? So if you look at this blocks of data right here, and then you look at the volume here, I would say the volume is averaging, and you can change your average to whatever you want. Let's say 20-day average. I like to use 30-day a lot. And if you look at this, well, it seems like for 30 days here, they're really aggressive. Then I look at this, and this is higher time frame analysis. I look at this, well, compare the volume, it seems like, I just don't see many buyers participating in this.
Yeah.
Right. And then I look at this sell-off here. What do you notice about the sell-off here?
You have more people participating, more aggressive.
So the people are, I think I grabbed the wrong tool, but there's institutional buyers or sellers are here. And it seems like, the sellers are present. Then I look at the run up again, and I see this right here, and I'm like, okay, well, there's a little bit of a better increase here than it was there. And you can't ignore that. You can't be biased and say, yeah, it's still shit. No, it's, there's a little bit more buyers right now than here.
It's pretty strong.
I would say 20% more, or let's say somewhere in that range, that they're coming in a little bit higher. Now, if I look at this increase here, I'm just interested in this level. And now I compare this pump up. Yeah, there's a little bit of run up here in volume, not much. How does it compare to the previous run ups that I saw? How does it compare to here and here? Well, this one here resembles a little bit more than this one in terms of volume and size, right? I would say.
Yeah.
If you look here, remember, we dropped a little bit in the buying volume here. It's not as strong as this one. And then the last piece that I looked at and I sent it to you guys, and some of you guys responded, which I appreciate. If I look at these two setups, just these two candles, they're identical almost in forms of candles and a setup, right, inside weeks. One is more bullish, one is more bearish in terms of candle setups.
Second one is more bearish.
Why?
Because there are wicks on the top, and the second candle is kind of completely inside the first one. Whereas in the first setup,
I
in the
think
first
effort
setup,
equals result, right?
Hold
So,
on, let him finish and then you can.
sorry. Yeah. So,
Go ahead.
in the first setup, and the candle that appeared after the first one, it still was kind of higher. I'm just looking at candle. I'm not looking at volume. As I said, that's where I thought the second setup is a more bearish one than the first one. But if I add the volume as well in that, the volume run up of the first one was going lower, whereas in the second one the volume is picking up but still up below the average. That's how I see this.
Good analysis. Shorty, what were you saying?
I think effort equals result. I think there's more of an effort to breach the resistance to the left around like the 410. Although there's a wick to the top, I think it's still rising on the right side. So that's just my analysis on that. I think there's just more of an effort from the buyers on that standpoint.
On this one?
Yeah.
Okay. What about this one here? This buyers on this candle made a higher high.
I think what Anna Cooling mentions is that when it's a low volume run up, especially because if you look at the candle prior, it's very similar, but the spreads are extremely different. If you go like one left,
Here?
like one left, yeah, those are like similar volumes. Honestly, it's less the more widespread one, but the spreads are completely different, like a couple percent different. So I think that's a very trappy move. And yeah, I think that's a very trappy move.
Okay. So how would you describe this one in summary versus that one?
I think on the right one is in summary bullish, more bullish than it's bullish because it's trying to break structure outside of the 410 area. But it is failing with the longer wick. But
where's your structure? Is it this structure you're looking
the
at?
410, yeah.
Okay,
that's kind of the structure, yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. And there's no right or wrong. This is a good analysis. CK, you had good analysis. I'm under the influence that it's more bearish. As we're coming up here on 3 days, if I go to 3-day section here, your bias can also change a little bit, right? So if you look at this structure here on 3 days, you're coming up with volume at that 310 level, and you're picking up, and then all of a sudden you're having a little bit of interest of sellers coming in, and they're bringing it back below the 410 level. While here, the volume was altogether not really great overall as you're pushing up, and then you come here, you're hitting a supply as well. I mean, there's a couple of levels you're hitting here, and if you want to call this the intermediate structure here, you didn't really break it. right? So if you look at this right here, you didn't
anomaly.
You didn't really break the structure here. And if you think about this, on this one, you did break the structure, but you're quickly rejected by the sellers here, and the volume picked up a little bit on the sell side. So, reclaiming 410 level is fairly important. Us closing, below it is also fairly important, right? Because now I think there's a high chance that if they want to push this lower, that, the 400s will be tested. I would say 396 will be tested sooner and later if they fail the low of the day of Friday. And we had, we talked about that 405 level. I don't know if you guys recall when we had actually Cuban asked about it.
Yeah.
We looked at these levels and I said there was a high chance below 410. You're going to go to that 405
Yeah,
and then
405,
you're going to bounce there. And that's kind of what they did. They got it to 405. It's a pretty good bounce when you think about SPY, like 3 points on SPY. It's pretty good.
Yep.
But now, are they stronger than this supply that was built here? This is a fairly decent supply now. So if they're able to hop over this, forget the trend lines. Once you look at the structure, right? How are they doing, right? Are they doing it with the, the compression up, like tiny bits and getting above and then a big candle through it off of the news? That's different, right? So we have to notice how are we going to get there, right? And all of these, if you guys look at these, they would have these little pullbacks and then major candles would kind of drive it up. Pullbacks and then a major candle up. I honestly think if we fail the low of the day here, you're headed, and even the POC here, cumulative, is pointing towards the 395, 396 area. I would think that would be the interest for me. Somewhere around here. And most likely we'll find some buyers, right, on that area. So good
CPI and
analysis.
Tuesday, is it possible, or is it likely that tomorrow this still could be a choppy day because they want to burn the
Oh yeah,
premiums?
I don't expect tomorrow to be anything else but choppy unless you break the low of the day with with some power. I don't see any directional moves tomorrow. If you think about it, our Friday day, look at the value area on Friday. Previous day prior to that value area was high on the trend day, of course. Here was high. Usually you get a little bit more than what you're seeing here, a dollar something in the value area. So fairly tight, right? So if we go below this 407.6, at least you could short it to about 406.91 if that's what you want to play, right? But it's gonna be fairly tight till they figure out what they're doing here.
Yeah,
And right now, I'm pretty sure there's a couple of scenarios, the retail might be watching. And of course, I'm retail too, but I'm not watching it through the retail eyes, or I try not to. So if you look here, everybody would see an ascending triangle and they're prepping for a major run up, right? Another flag they would see is probably, a bear flag that they see here building up. So, there's multiple ways to see the market and multiple ways to react. And until you start adding the volume, the price, and time, and consider it through those three aspects and understand the market structure, you're just going to be the goat that they use to create liquidity. And you're just going to be following, the masses, right? So there was a couple of experiments way back done, people get in an elevator and they're all facing the other way. And the person gets in the elevator and the heat starts facing the other way as well. And I don't know if you've ever been in those double door elevators, but the opposite side opens. And even if you're intelligent to know, most people are staring the other way. Right. And that's how people look at the market as well. They look and they're like, oh, man, everybody's in the calls. I see the flow. How many flows for NVIDIA that come in over a couple of last weeks and, it was bullish? Like when they're coming up here, how many did we see that were bullish? I can go back to Discord and find all you guys posting about the video here. Unless you guys want me to. I don't want to call you out, but a lot of you guys were looking for calls and a lot of you guys were screaming 240s, 250s. While the bigger picture, if you guys recall, was saying what on the video?
Supply coming up.
Well, I mentioned that, this level was here. And it's not going to be an easy level because this was the first time retest of this supply. So now NVIDIA has all the way down like 200s, I would say even 190s is doable. They're going to come back and retest this right here. Make sure that it was real. So if you go over the masses, you end up with them as well. So, you know, flow is good. I don't want to discredit, you know, people using flow, but flow is never going to be directional. I guarantee you that. You can, the intention, you know, they could literally set up charm trades where it looks like, oh my God, 250 NVIDIA. They could set up to buy, you know, a couple of $1 million in NVIDIA calls, and they could set up a major short on shares, and you guys fall for those and you keep buying them while they're offloading as the price is going up. And eventually that, you know, once the buyers are not bidding the price or facilitating higher, what happens quickly to that NVIDIA price? All that the buyers, the bid side is going to be depleted, supply is going to be heavy. And you know, from even the PowerPoint and just looking at level 2, what happens? If there's no bids and a really heavy supply, what happens? You really just take an elevator down. And that's what usually happens, right? I mean, they're trying to offload. And if you're the last guy standing buying at the top, it's probably the worst feeling you're going to have in your life. And here's your, if you think about volume profile on the video, right? On the daily, these guys, you know, if they bought it at 240, they're not going to be buying at 220. I guarantee you. They're trying to get you up here. And they're meeting these suppliers here. So kind of like a double whammy. You're coming here, you're selling, and then this guy is just sitting here patiently waiting for you to bring the price back. Okay. So tomorrow, if you're going to be trading tomorrow, I would just be very cautious of certain levels. I said the 4112 is going to be an eye opener how we get there. And if you're able to hold it, that it would be a little bit more bullish. And then if we pop below this, I would say PD value area high, at least you have a chance to dip here to 490, but you see how the profile was created, you know, on POC here. You have, you know, almost like a distribution here and a distribution here and a little bit of break-even zone here. So they're not letting you have a lot of points with free flow. So they're gonna contain this as choppy as possible, right? So if you lose this level, you can catch 6-7 points to here, but I'm not willing to play that. I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's just asking for trouble. So I'm gonna wait and see if you're able to clear the bigger levels, right? 4112, then I know there's some upside that we can go at least 30 points, 40 points, extreme 76, break below the value area low, and then we're gonna have opportunity to clear probably that 4060 level, which was the low of the day, the liquidity, and then the target would be about 4,000. So, and the guy did not close those puts on ES. The 4050 puts are still open.
Oh my gosh.
So, I mean, you know, he is, you know, if you think about the price on SPX, he's, you know, 40 points away now. So if the CPI goes against him, and I'm just throwing numbers out, and that he has to close that trade at a loss, he will add by himself another 50, 80 points with the close of that trade. So whatever the market was going to do, you add 50, 80. Because it's going to initiate a lot of buybacks by the market makers on that trade alone. So it's something to keep an eye on.
Shorty, on SPY, you got what 410? What you have on there?
Oh, just our 410.52. If you're able to pop over this range,
yeah, that's what I want.
You want to get over it, right? So we want to make sure. But I'm not going to be looking to take actively a lot of trades tomorrow. I'm just going to see how they prep and, you know, if they give any clue on for the next day, which they've done a pretty good job of hiding lately.
Could there be a good short off of the 410 again?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they can also come there and kind of consolidate here, like they did right here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, you know,
and pop over it.
Do a lot of stop loss, and then you see them here. I mean, they're bursting through it, rejecting, and out.
Yeah.
They gave you a little retest here. But now if they come, the first inclination is to short, but with the CPI coming,
Mhm.
I don't want to short here and then they catch me for $9
Yeah.
on a short side. So I'd rather see, if they give me this opportunity, maybe get in small contract size, look for a short here.
Yeah.
Ideally, I would want them to fail again. I want them to go here, look at this where they're not facilitating trades higher at this
Yeah.
level,
And short up there.
pop here, short from here, and then it'd be something like that. I want to short these levels. I don't know
Okay.
how much input I would put on this one.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on what we covered the toss? We covered a little bit of volume profile, and what I plan to add, it'll be a little bit more complex for people that are ready to take the complexity of the next level on the volume profile. So I'll work on that today a little bit as I get time. We covered the
One
Monday
last
prep.
question. One question. When you're doing the PvP, let's say you want to do that 7-day PvP, you just basically go to PvP 7 days, and then how do you guys do that?
So if I go to PvP, I change this and I change this today, type 7. So now it's 7 days. Enable it, go on 65 minutes, and I'm able to see the value areas for 7 days.
Gotcha.
So now I'm able to, assess the data on a little bit more time frame, right? So I see value areas are making higher highs even now, right? On 7 days. So this is a little bit bigger picture, right? For swing entries. So if you're looking at this, I'm able to tell that we defended previous day value area high and we bounced. If you're able to break inside of this, then right, that would indicate that we're potentially
Is that
slowing
more for
down.
swings?
Well, it's for swings, but you can also utilize these levels, like I mentioned, as a day trader, so you know where different type of buyers and sellers will come in. If
Gotcha.
I see that we're losing this PD7 value area high here, we defended it. If we lose it, then I know on a day trade I can catch this move here probably with ease, right? From 406 to about 404.3. That'd be the chance, and then a high probability that we can go to that almost 400 level.
Okay.
But as you see right now, we don't have a lot of overlap. It started overlapping here, and then they made another higher high and higher low with the gap, and we filled that gap here nicely. So far, I mean, it looks, they were trending up on a higher time frame of structure.
Okay.
And then if you change it, even like I mentioned, to the monthlies, right? You just have to change this, change to month.
Yeah.
And increase this a little bit higher. Now you see on the monthly here, I mean, from the lows here, we had a pop up on value area, then a dip, and another. We're not really making, a lot of pumps on the monthly here. We're not even above, August value area.
Yeah.
So, and it's really, of course, so tight so far just because we're in the middle of the month. But, losing this level here where we bounced on January, right? This was them telling us something, right? It's them telling us, hey, we want to hold above this value area. So if they're unable to hold this, so now you're stuck in no man's land. And that's why I said it's pretty interesting what happens, right?
Yeah.
You can use this as a case to learn. So this is our value area, developing value area low for January, right? If we're able to pop over that and hold it, right? So it'd be a simple scenario, pop, hold, let's say reject at that 410 level.
Yeah.
And then you hold this 408, 5. I mean, high chance they can find it and find some buyers below to push it back to the extreme. And then we would watch to see what these sellers do from this level here. Are they going to,
go higher
sell responsibly from here? Or if you're going to get new initiative buyers to find new value above it and take it to the previous levels, which would be somewhere around, 420 in this case. And then you would look at this level here at kind of 428.30 level.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're stuck between these two levels, and these two levels are going to be, for most people, tough to trade, believe it or not. The $3 that we have is going to be, they could accumulate here because they're in between zones and value areas.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
So something to watch. These are crucial levels for upside and downside on SPY.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so that covers the first 3 peps. Talking about 1K challenge. So how are you guys doing? Like with your partners, are you guys meeting? Are you talking, holding each other accountable on logs, reviewing the trades?
Yeah, we are. Me and Bach are.
Okay.
I've done calls and also you know, just like typing on each other's logs. But yeah, I've been doing calls and everything. Have a group. So I have 3 people in my 1K challenge, and I do like we have a private DM group. So yeah, we talk
Okay.
in there.
All right, that's good. Anyone else?
I and Bean, we talk every day, review each other's log and add reviews.
Say mine's okay too.
You guys think it helps you like express your feelings and the trades, or is it useless?
I think it helps.
It's helping.
Yeah, it's helping. It's seeing me putting down honestly what I'm doing instead of just thinking about it. I'm writing it down, which helps. It's a different concept when you write it down and discuss it with somebody else honestly. I don't want somebody to pat me on the back. I want somebody to tell me, hey, when you're messing up, man, you shouldn't have done that. Stick to the rules. I mean, that's what I do with Bach, and he does the same thing with me.
I don't want to speak for other people, but like for my group, I've noticed on feedback I've given people on their next trades, they follow the feedback. And so it looks like it's been very helpful.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good feedback. Anyone else?
I personally think it's good because I know what I did wrong, but saying it to somebody else holds me accountable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think that's the purpose of it. Because a lot of people want to hide behind their mistakes, right? And when you make a mistake, a lot of people don't want to. A lot of people have an ego of saying, "Man, what I did was wrong." Instead, they want to justify wrongfully what they did that it was right. And there's a big difference between traders that do that, right? Either you own up to your losses and you accept the loss that you took. In my case, I had trouble like, hey, should I have known that stop loss can be increments of 5? Probably. Can I blame them for my loss? No. I mean, I just have to move on and accept it. Was it painful? Yeah. Right. I mean, it took me a couple of days to grow that account from 1,000 to 1,800, and then you give me a beating on my own mistake, and I have to own it. It's not an easy one that I own, but I still had to log off, and I'm like, man, like why the hell did I why did I even first take the trade? And was it a good trade? Yes. And then second, it was tough to accept something that I could have avoided if I've known the rule of that.
So I had something similar, Shorty, where I took an SPX play with a bracket order, but I used the wrong bracket order, so my stop loss was way too tight. And I got stopped out, re-entered the trade with the correct bracket order, and ended up being very profitable. But because I took that loss on the stop loss, instead of having like a 7% day, I had a 2% day.
Yeah, I think I saw your log on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that hurt, but I mean, mistakes happen, and you just have to grow and learn with it.
I think that's what we're implementing, the trading in the zone, where you become responsible for your own actions and accept your own mistakes. Until you do that, honestly, you can't become profitable or a consistent trader, a good trader.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
The other day I made a mistake not paying attention, and instead of pushing a put, I pushed a call. Thank God I caught it right away, and it was only like a $4 or $5 loss. But what if it would have been a high, if it would have been a larger account or a larger bet, I would have lost not paying attention, and that's my bad, and I had to take responsibility for that.
Yep, and I think I remember you doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's the key, and that's the whole purpose, to be honest, of the challenge. It's build a discipline. And I'm working with somebody that's also on this call a little bit more. He or she been pretty consistent with providing updates, asking valid questions. If you come to me and ask me relevant questions to your trading, it's harder to help you, and I can sense that you don't care. Most people that want to grow, they really put effort and time, and I don't have to tell them 5 times same thing over and over. If I have to tell you same thing over and over that you're mistaken, it tells me that either A, you don't care, or B, it's really difficult for you to get rid of the old habits. The old habits is okay, but you have to progress through the old habits and start depleting them, meaning making them weaker. And the only way you can do that is if you journal and you see your old habits and you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. So there's 3 people that I've been working very closely with, and their accounts are up 40, 50%.
It's awesome.
One person, I think, let me just check quickly here. They sent to me, and I will. So this is, let me show you they have sent me their account. And this is their progress so far.
That's great, man.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
So they're progressing, right? They're growing. And then you look at the statistics, like what are they doing here, right? I can't look at this sometimes because the spreadsheet, if you didn't populate it correctly. But here I look at this, right? Are you taking your losses correctly? You are, you're doing great. Not this growth, what tells me wasn't of the big wins, but rather small compound wins.
And you can see their P&L ratio is 4.2 to 1 on the last 4 weeks.
That's correct. And that's
awesome.
a very, very, very important, right? So when I look at this, my feedback to him was what? Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, just keep going. Don't stop.
You look at this, I don't have much to help you here. And this guy, it's a male. He was ready to quit like somewhere around the beginning of January.
That's awesome, man.
I would add people ready to quit. That's normally when you're really close to a big breakthrough and you just have to keep pushing. You're probably just missing one stupid little component that's like the difference between being profitable and not being profitable.
Most of the time it's emotional.
Yep.
And emotions are controlled. You have to control them through your habits, and you have to, your identity, like I mentioned, has to change. Another person that's also now on a call, I'll just try to not expose them. Let me bring this is them. And, I've done few sessions with this person as well. And I'm proud of, their growth as well. So look at this one.
That's beautiful, man.
This one has a little bit more improvement to do than the other one. This person did not execute or eliminate their habits fully yet, but they've gotten better. If I was to show you the previous, they were not able to grow that account at all. So now, this person's happy taking these profits, because then at the end of the day, if I can grow $210 a week consistently over time, and then this account becomes, let's say, 100K, 2.5% or 20% of 100K becomes a lot. That
20K.
becomes freedom. Yeah. So if you can grow 20K a week, that's big boy levels, right? That's $80,000 a month. But it's the discipline that's the goal of us in the 1K challenge. Are you gonna grow your account? Let's say if this person continues growing it, can you grow your account? Hell yeah. But the goal is, once we hit, let's say 30 days, whatever is in that account is good to reset. I reset it twice. Whether I got lucky or not on SPX, SPX was showing that one day, volume profile was weak, and I, took some puts, and it literally went from like $2 to about, $1,500 that I made. I quickly, took that out, and I reset to be with you guys. And then I grew back to 1,800, and then I had a little bit of a mess up on my end on trading and stop loss, so it went down. But I'll be able to recover from it as well. It dipped below 1,000, and I'll be looking to see if I can reclaim that and take it back again higher. So I'm probably worse off than some of you guys right now. So, and that's a good thing.
Shorty, Shorty, if in a month we want to continue this, can we?
Well, I think so, and I think we just take a vote as a group, right? And if this provides benefit, I honestly think it will, because a lot of people don't want to be accountable. This can change your habits, right? And
I'd love to continue, man.
because a lot of you guys suffer from, hiding what you're doing wrong instead of exposing it. A lot of you guys that have families, and I've talked to you guys before. You don't tell your wife that you're up 500 and then you're down 1700 on the day, because they'll go crazy. And once you're able to be honest and respect your stop losses and be able to talk about them, that's when you're going to grow as a trader. And that's this is the purpose, right? So for a lot of you that whether you're new to journaling, and if you listen to any psychological trading or advice from professional traders, I would strongly suggest that you journal. If you want to grow and you don't journal, whether you're in Discord or in free Discord, whatever you're doing, my first advice to you would be go journal. And it's going to open your eyes to, what you're doing wrong, what you're doing right. And then just kind of getting rid of the old habits. Okay. And I owe Dumpster a coffee. Yeah. Need to send him the coffee.
Definitely helping me too. I would like to continue as well.
Yep. And I think, maybe on the next one, if you want to add some, price and initiative for people, we can create not necessarily a competition on the amount that you're creating, but competition. We put some guidelines on, who has the best risk management, and then you get, let's say, some price, right? Who has who's growing the account the most with least amount of risk, you get that as well as a reward. And then we don't reward anyone who's not following any of those rules. Okay. So I think we can encourage people to do it, but the only way people learn is if they lose it all. And I'd rather you guys not lose it all, but to learn it. And the only way you're going to reflect it is, through the partnership of sharing your ideas and trades with somebody else.
Absolutely, man.
So if you're thinking about quitting, I just showed you 2 examples where, people have come to me, and I can, show you snippets of the conversations. It's like, man, I really don't know what's going on. I just can't. But just don't give up. I mean, sometimes you're right there. And here's, for instance, this person. I just want to show you.
I've definitely felt like that at one point.
I think we all have.
So if you look at the same person I showed you with their profits that are over 2,000 now, this is them. We had a couple of one-on-ones. We discussed. We put a plan together. He stuck to the plan, and he's been really rigorous on following up, sending stuff that I asked him to do, and his account's also growing.
That's great,
So
man. I love
it's not necessarily me that's doing it, but it's really in your hands. I mean, I'm giving you weapons. I'm giving you the environment. I'm giving you the teachings. The key is that you own your trade, right? If you're getting into a trade because somebody said so, because Shorty said so, because anyone else said so, that's not good enough, right? And I don't call out trades. I don't put, I'm gonna grab this or this. I'm just showing you what I'm doing. And I shared Friday. You guys saw this when we were trading on this screen here. When we were trading Friday, I was focused in on the range day, right? And you guys watched me trade in between the shorts and highs, the lows and the highs, and shorting highs. And some people might think that I trade any different, but you guys see what I do, and I'm not hiding what I do. And when I take a stop loss, I say that hit. So I cannot be perfect every time on the entries or positions, but as long as I have a good RR, we had one trade that hit, I think, 6-1 on the short side. So if I can catch 2 of those per day, 6 to 1, I mean, that's a trade I'm willing to take. If I'm trading, you know, like as we started getting a little tighter here, you know, choppiness, you have to be quick. You have to know the shift, you know, was there developing POC shifts? When a tighter range, a lot more questions come up. And as a trader, the more information you have to, you know, process to make a decision, the harder it is because you have so many variables. It's almost like a math problem. If I give you one unknown, right, 1x, most of you guys will be able to do it. Like simple algebra, right? But if I give you a little bit of more problem, right, a little bit of imaginary numbers, a couple of unknowns, a little factoring, a lot of you guys be like, man, I need a refresher. Right. So it's the same thing in the market, right? Market gives you tons of information. And I don't know who took SATs long back or not, but there'll be a question on SAT that has a bunch of numbers and only 2 numbers matter in the question. Right? They would throw everything and you calculate it, and then you see, you know, since it's United States, you see option A gives you that answer, and you're like, yep, that's the one. And you click that one, and you're like, shit, it's wrong. Because it's deceiving, right? Market will give you looks and feelings to go for, but knowing the logical, knowing the volume, knowing the price, and I cannot, you know, when you're trading, if you're waiting for IBH and IBL, that will help you so much. First, it tells you the type of day you're going to have, and it's going to simplify your trading so much. As I finished the day trading on Friday, I added something, and I'm going to finish the rest of the days, even though we have it, but I'll add a different spin on it. So these are the, you know, this is high level type of days we have, right? So you have the normals, the doubles. This is the typical days, the expanded typical, which usually I want more than 3 minutes to be extended typical, right? Then you have the range days, right? And then the sideways, which you don't want to trade. So I started putting some sense, a little bit more details for you guys, so you can kind of encourage yourself to learn these and start respecting them, right? So on sideways or neutral days, I would call them, not maybe sideways, on typical days, where it's a D-shaped volume profile, there's 2 ways to play them. And if you read this, you should know, you know, how we closed and what it's indicating, right? On a center day, you're kind of closing at the POC, really nobody won, right? So what's that thing in the park, like when 2 kids sit on opposite side, what's it called? Damn it. And
Seesaw?
yeah, seesaw. So if you think about this, think about the seesaw when you're looking at the D-shaped volume profile, right? So if you have a seesaw somewhere sitting here like this, and you think about the shape, right, that we are getting, which way is it leaning? Is it leaning more towards the lower profile and lower close? Or is it leaning more, you know, like this one we did on Friday? I would say it's leaning more like this. We're closing on the higher end of this regular profile, so it plays an importance. The market's telling you something. There's a high chance that maybe we have a gap up and maybe it fades away. Maybe they gap up to 410, we hit that 410.52 on SPY, and then we fade away. There's offload there, and we would know, you know, there's really not facilitation of price or market above that level right now. With it being used on Tuesday, does it mean much? Yeah, it does, but can they also slice it, you know, through it and not really give a damn about the level? Yeah, of course, they've done it before. They've done it through the bigger levels, not only 410.
Lots of times.
So I will add more beef to this. We already have a lot of details on this. If you guys go under Trading 101, I don't know if you guys know. Let me just find it here. Let me see. Trying to find I think it's here. Oh, here it is. So we do have this, right? We've created this. Oh crap, where did it go? Okay, here it goes. Let me bring. So this is, this was Jack. He's in our group. I asked him to write it out from his perspective, right? It's correct. There's a lot of good stuff in here. If you kind of go through them, when I do look at, the date types, right? It's good to notice it also on regular candles, not only on ashes. Here he adds his feedback as well. So I'll take some of this stuff and I'll add more of what I think about it. And then it'll be more related to the profile structures and the market structures and understanding the buyers and sellers, and sometimes understanding, as I call them, the higher or lower time frame intentions and where they're hitting, right? And how can you identify quickly, if you're trend day up, right, and you're shorting at some of these levels, how do you stop that, right? How do you stop noticing that? Is it, the bottom buying initiative? Is a previous profile help you with that? So I'll help you with identifying more characteristics to know, which could help you determine even before that, the 1030 set, what kind of day you might have.
Thanks, man.
And that's kind of like the intrinsic knowledge that, you get with the experience, and, you get better as the time goes on and more time you put into the trading, right? So I'll expand that. It'll probably be a lot more than 6 slides. This slide's probably going to be, for instance, this was from Friday. This is more extreme here. So I'll add more to this and add feedback and then add prior days and see what else was playing a role into it besides the news and events. Okay. Any other questions from you guys?
Yeah, who you going for the Super Bowl?
Oh, fuck, who's in it? Kansas City and Eagles?
Yeah.
I think Eagles win.
Yeah, Eagles.
I think their defense is going to be crazy. Even though I don't like Eagles, but
yeah,
Sure.
been an Eagles fan, but
somebody want to ask them?
I had a question on ES. That 4112 level. Would you consider shorting that level, or you would wait and see if what's going to be the reaction, either if it rejects or
On Monday, I was short it, and that only if it happens in the first half of the day. If it comes towards the second half of the day, I would not short it. And that's the timing of the market that I'm considering, right? If somebody finds any information, even though they say, JPOW said nothing is leaked. Somehow I don't believe that. If they come in and they're facilitating, higher prices here towards it, and they're not really getting a quick reaction like a strong high, I would not short it. Just because somebody might have some data and they're slowly bidding it up, and then I could get destroyed on that. So if I catch a trade tomorrow, it's probably going to be the first 45 minutes after, between 9:30 and 11:30, I'll have a trade in max. Otherwise, I'd be asking for trouble. And if you're trading tomorrow, size down. So if you're used to one contract, stay at one contract, but don't buy expensive. Don't trade SPX if you're not familiar with it. I think it's going to be a chop fest tomorrow. And it's important to you guys notice the gap tonight. So if we do gap up tonight between, let's say, the 5 and 6 when we open, make sure that, you mark that open and identify it. So I think it'll play a big role. And especially, I've shown you guys the midnights. I don't know if you guys remember, but that midnight level was crucial the whole day here.
4085.
Yeah, it was 4085. And I mean, it was just slapping the whole day. So I would definitely, just find the level here. And I usually grab the whole candle. If you want to just grab the open, you can definitely do that.
I'm sorry, Shorty. What do you mean by a midnight? Actually, midnight?
Yeah, midnight at 12 o'clock. Find the candle that opens, and usually from that candle alone, they like to move the price from it. So if you look at this here, and I extend this one here to the style to the right. This is that level, right? So if you look here, they popped, they came back, they sliced to it, they came. Level was spraying major.
Look at that.
Yeah, so it played a big role. So I would definitely watch
Sneaky
tonight.
bastards.
Yeah, and then, I didn't say to trade the secret supplies and demands. I just say notice them. Like for instance, you have a secret supply demand here being created, right? On 5 minutes, there is a demand being created here. That's secretive, right? So if I was to grab volume profile, let's say I grab it on 3 minutes here, I should see something here, If I look here on volume profile, so there's a little bit of, like almost like a shelf increase here, and then it stops here again, and then the POC is right above. So if they dip it here, they could use it as a trap on this tiny screen or tiny grab of volume. But it can, if you're scalping, it could play a role, right? So they came back very close to it here and then kind of pushed higher. So now if you want to kind of look for other ones and see how they play, you could definitely do that. But they happen a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean it is insane how many of them are created.
Something new.
I don't say trade them, use them as a confluence item, and supply and demands that are secretive are pretty powerful, I would say.
Sorry, Shorty. Can you show again the secret demand? Because I know about the secret supplies, like with the ones with the gap
Yeah,
within.
so it's the same concept, right? So if you think about this, you have the candles that don't overlap, but the wicks do. So in the same scenarios, you could find them, right? So here's a secret supply right here. If you look, we went down, and then in this case, they're like, oh, we're going to go up, and then the sellers overtook again. So this right here is a secret supply. Oh, sorry. So there's a little secret supply being created here on the downside. And you see them, next candle came back where? Right, and think about it, I'm in 10 minutes, so you cannot
Right back up there.
heavy reliance on something like that. But for intraday, if you come back to this heavy zone right here, I mean, that's not a bad short, right? And then you can look at on the bullish side as well. Here's one right here. See it? So they're able to push it, up right here. They pushed it up. They were like up
Came
here.
back down.
And look,
Yeah.
not a single body on the same time frame closed below it, and they're able to push higher. So they do this, a whole lot, and it's just how your trading is. And I personally would not look at them past 5, preferably 10 minutes. Those would be used for my intraday. Like 65 minutes, if you find them, they're deadly. Once you start pointing these things out on like these time frames, so watch this now. If you look at, for instance, there's one right here. Look at that. And I can zoom in so you guys can see it. Look at this one. It came back and boom. You got this whole push off since on it.
Wow.
So it can work, right? So you just have to, I don't say necessarily just trade them off of it, but just be aware of it. When things happen, there's a little secret supply right here, and there's also VP confirming that. So there's a supply sitting somewhere around here. And if I was to grab this right here, you see the volume node is also there. So this would give me a little bit more confluence to short here. Does that make sense?
Good, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So 41.12. If in the morning I'd take a short stab, right, and see how we react. Because right here, if I look at this price action, they have 41.18 as a nice reaccumulation. So if you think about the whole sell-off right here, you'll have some key levels pointed, right? So that level we just said, secret supply, somewhere around 41.59 would be pretty cool to see how we react to it. I think we will reject this level if I was to guess anything. Even if they have a massive green candle, I think this is their stop. If they hop over this liquidity or value area H on a composite profile would act as resistance, I would think. And then you see just these little, re-adds on this profile, right? You see them adding here, and this was a reaccumulation. If I was to grab this, I can get the direct spot, where it could hit 41.34. I mentioned this level earlier, if you guys remember, 41.35, 6 level. couple of points up and down is going to be crucial for overall picture. Like big old picture, this is a big zone here. Okay. So if you hop over this, I would say if you're a trader on futures or even SPX, if you hop over this 41, we'll call it 20 level, just because this value area, I guess, low here. Once you get that, I guarantee you can catch 15 points on ES. Eyes closed, you could do this. Once you pop over this, you know, you get a little bit of choppiness up. It won't be as fast, but you'll get there. Right? And then on clouds, I shared with some of you guys. Let me just load up my grid real quick. Okay. Unexpected arrow on Thinkorswim. Okay, great.
If ES is going up 15, 20 points, and you can bet SPY is going up at least $3.
Yeah, so now if you guys look at this, let's see. Let me just bring this level here. Trying to fix something for myself so I can slide it over to you guys. Where is it? Let me just bring this over. So now if you guys look at ES, for instance, right? I mean, if you're to lose this level here, 40.66, you know, a high chance that you're going to be going to this level. There's not much stopping you here. This level here that you see, like the daily level here identified, there's a strong possibility if we pop over this that you go where? What did I say earlier? What level is important? See the level, the white one that's labeling here? 41.35. It's going to be a crucial level for reclaim on the bulls. So we'll watch that, and then, you know, if you go on a little bit higher time frames here, you know, you're really far from a lot of stuff here. So if we're able to, you know, if we lose by any chance, I'm talking big picture, if you lose this 30, 80, 70, yeah, you're most likely going to drop another 250 points here. But right now, you're going to be stuck in this choppiness. There's a lot of crap here. This is a lot of crap here. So until 42.58 or this level breaks, you're really stuck right now. You know, we got to take out, you know, if you want to go to the next highs or whatever highs you want to talk about, you're going to stay here. And then, you know, you have this line here, the red line and the white line. It's basically my ATR on the largest time frame possible. And there's a low chance that we're going to break this line here. And then you're going to stay in this cycle. For the normal markets, you're going to stay between these lines. And look where we rejected last time. You should not be breaking these levels right here on these lines. And I got to get rid of this open interest. So you should not be breaking through these fairly easy. Usually when you tap them, you're going to drive a reaction, and we did. We tapped. The bottom of here would be 38.60. I would think we go towards it. And on SPY, let me just bring up SPY real quick. So if you go here, I mean, you look here now, if you break below this level, 404, did I say 395, 396 is most likely? Volume profile said so, and the clouds are saying 396. If I was to put my money on it, I would say there's a high chance you're gonna do that. Unless you break 421, I mean, you're opening up for a massive squeeze run on a bull run to the upside.
Plus, there's a VPOC on 399.73.
Yeah. So there's, you know, certain scenarios that are applying here that could play out. But if we pop over this space that they see here is pretty You know, this is pretty wide open here, guys. I don't know if anything would be able to stop this run to the upside. And then you see that there's, you know, some support right here below this, but below 345, you don't have much here besides this, unless I have quarterlies on and add them. Okay, quarterlies are pointing to 271. So if you break this 350 level, now you see where the space is and where the quick shorting opportunity will be. I mean, shorting of your lifetime happens here. As of right now, there's just a lot of overhead here. I would say ton of overhead right now, ton of accumulation, distribution is going to happen here. So many levels, if you guys look. And each one of these, if you guys look, whenever there's a little gap, they react to it. They move quickly. You know, and I'm on regular Nashi candles. If you guys want to see how quickly they play when it opens up. Now we're stuck here. We can go here to 413, and then you have 416, and then 421 to 426, and then you have a massive cloud here to be stuck in range. And then,
Bucks at 427, V buck at 429.
So here's your Tesla, for instance. If you guys look, it's just a beauty to see actually on. Let me more levels. So look at Tesla right here. We came into the bottom here. Remember the monthly bottom? I screamed about it for a while. We came here and we were basically at the weekly top. You're almost there at 220. Is there any level at 220 that's of your interest, CK?
Yeah, that was the supply.
It's a major supply here. So Tesla, if I was to trade this, most likely it's gonna be a bounce right here. I would say 99% chance they bounce right here at this level. So they'll probably get a nice little bounce there. And then if they break this 180, they're going to quickly fill in these gaps in between. A short below 165 has pretty good reward of 13 points down. And then a lot of support here on Tesla. I mean, at these levels now, the 150s, that's a lot of support. So they're going to be there protecting this one. But like if you look at NVIDIA, for instance, on clouds, drawings. You see how quickly NVIDIA got in here? I mean, NVIDIA gets in here, it has a room to go 286. So it really needs to reclaim 218 if it wants to go here. And this will happen within 2-3 months here. All right, so we want it above, but now it might go all the way down to like 192. And then if it loses, right, you see certain levels here. If it loses these levels, opens up space. Roku was my favorite trading on the clouds, and now it just became a shit. But Roku, whenever it had gaps, it would just slice through them on clouds. So it's actually, this one probably respects it along with Amazon the best. Amazon is really good on the clouds. It's almost instant rejections on the clouds.
I think it just rejected the weekly or something.
Yeah, it hit the weekly top with the earnings and it could not break it. Breaking weekly requires a lot of power. You're not just going to break through the weekly cloud like that. And then I would say this is probably headed, if it loses this green cloud here, 96-ish, 93, and then, it's going to be here for some time. I would say the 88 eventually is going to be hit here.
Check Google as well.
Yeah, you can check Google. Okay, well, there's Google. Same story with Google. It popped up. They scanned to see almost like one of those submarines. They checked above and they got slapped immediately. So if you think about Google, went above weekly, came back, and what did it do?
Retest and fail.
Yeah, this is a bearish money shot, and now it's coming. So Google's headed to 83. They can do whatever the hell it wants here. It's going to 83. So we'll catch Google there. I'm watching a couple of stocks, as we had on our levels right here. If you guys remember, was this one of them?
Yes. That's the one on my next buy list.
So this is something I'm watching as well. It's coming to some great levels that we had on the buy levels. If it comes to here, it'd be pretty good, right? It's very close to it. This one's actually coming up to some interesting levels as well. I would definitely watch this one here. It's coming up to, if I can get it like 130s, I'd take this one. This for me would be a really long trade that I would hold. CLX, this one's not going to have a lot of data. I want this to come back down. I wouldn't be interested in buying here. Neither are they. So somewhere around here, 140s, or even a little bit less here. If I can get it 130s, that'd be good. I just don't think they'd drop it below this level for now.
Set PG around 132 or so, right? Because that will become a bullish money shot on weekly.
Yeah, I want it here. Yeah, I want it to the bottom. So it would just be a support on weekly. Monthly bottom would be ideal, but I don't know how quickly they can get it there.
Would you mind looking at Chewy Shorty really quick?
Yeah, I just don't like that stock.
I know you don't. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's setting up for a potential bounce, but it's not going to go above 46.8. All they did here is they squeezed it from the bottom of the support. I would say they hit the weekly bottom at some point. Yep, so let's see. They had the weekly bottom. They completed the cycle. So now if I was to go here and type in Chewy, they completed the whole cycle on a weekly here. Let's see. I don't have to tell you where it's headed, but yeah, it's headed there. It's headed $40. So it's gonna go here, and that's gonna be a big level. So right now, if it breaks 44, that's your level to know it's gonna go there. And look at this confluence now. Your daily, middle, 44, 4-hour bottom. My $4 drops is pretty much imminent on it. So here's your closer look at it. Once you lose that 44, which is probably gonna happen quick. Get a little bounce, close it, look at the gap here. First gap. That's all they see on this. No, market makers don't see single level here and then a single level here in between. I just watch it, see if it trades that way. I'll lose this 44, call it tomorrow. It might be a little less because of this when it calculates. Call it 44, you get 42 and a half, and then you're going to get 40.57. Personally, I would not touch it till 30 or monthly bottom 25. Completed a lot of bullish cycles here. So it's going to go down. Okay. All right. Which one?
Apple.
Yeah, Apple's overextended for a little bit here. So if you're able to lose this on Apple, I would say like 148.5. You're going to 144 with speed. Below 142, 138. These are the ranges that I would play on Apple. This one here. This one I would not play between 144 and 142. This one here has a little bit more, has $4, not bad, but this is a really good one here. Below 136 to 126 when it happens, that's great. On the bull side, you have a case here for $2 in between. I don't trade in the cloud, but this cloud has $5, and if it gets in on the bottom and holds, it'll go to the top, but I would not touch this. I would rather, if you catch a bull run, be interested in, momentum trading this right here. I just think they're You know, if they break this, you go here. If you lose this, you go here. And in between, these are just scalps. These are going to be massive moves, up or down. Bigger picture. Okay. All right. Shop. Yeah, let me look at shop, and that'll be the last one. Here's shop here. We talked about the shop level here that it hit. It's most likely headed here to 43. It'll get a bounce here to 50, and I think it rejects probably here 51, 16, 20. And it'll probably go back to this monthly bottom of $43 fairly soon. In our list, I think we had shop somewhere around 20, these levels right here. Okay. All right, guys. Well, that'll be it. I'll trade live tomorrow unless action is really like sideways. I'm not going to waste my time and look at charts all day, but we'll determine that in the first hour or so. See how we open. I'll post some charts around, 7 o'clock tonight. Once I see what's happening, I'll hop on, look at some charts and update them. But, tomorrow I think price action is going to be really tight. So if you're twitching to trade, don't trade. I mean, if it's not giving you a range, don't max up, don't size up. If you're going to trade minimal contracts, buy, avoid SPX. Tomorrow just might be a day where they sit and eat your contracts away as you watch a misery. So try to avoiding trading tomorrow if you can.
Thank you so much, Shorty.
All right, guys. Well, you have a good day, and I'll catch you tonight with some chart updates.
Thanks, Shorty. Have a good day.
Thanks, Shorty.
Have a good one. Have a good day, guys.
You too,
Thanks,
Cuban.
bye bye.